mystical rapture. I am in ecstasy, beautiful vision. Don't ever separate me from your beautiful vision. In the darkest night, you are shining bright. You are my guiding light. Show me wrong from right. Beautiful vision. Stay with me all the time. Beautiful vision. Stay with me all the time with your beautiful vision.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, talking about visions, I know that when we have a vision, sometimes we see ourselves in really unique ways. Sometimes we see ourselves in a bigger vision than we might have thought a moment ago. So, I was thinking about this, and I wonder, have you ever, though, heard the phrase that a little bit of knowledge can be dangerous? Right? A little bit of knowledge can be dangerous. And so when you think about that, like, I know that for those of you that know how to change the oil in your car, it doesn't really mean because you're knowledgeable in that way that you should be doing a brake job, right? Or how about this? How about if you are able to put up a shelf in your house? And I think probably most of us could do that, right? Most of us. Okay, not everybody. But most of us, I think, could do that. But it doesn't mean that you should lay drywall, right? Or decide to overhaul your whole electrical system. Probably not. And then for me, because I don't do either of those things, but for me, you know what? I'm a fan of Grey's Anatomy. And so yeah, right? It is awesome. Thank you, Cheryl. Yeah, I will be honest though, I have my favorite characters, and they are surgeons. But just because I've seen maybe, I would say, maybe 6 seasons of Grey's Anatomy, I don't think I should ever perform emergency surgery on anyone. I really don't think so. So I'm smart enough to know that, and if you're smart enough, if you're having a problem like that, run from me. I tell you, just run in case I get the urge. But, you know, that's what happens when we have a little bit of knowledge. We have that little bit of knowledge, and then if we have this unity awareness that all things are possible, sometimes we can get a little carried away. So I just want to go on record that I did not encourage you to do those things, okay? But here's the good news. In unity, we can take a little bit of knowledge and we can use it for good. So there are some times when that understanding of knowing a little something, just a little something, it can radically change your life for better. How, you might ask? Oh, so awesome. I love that. Okay. How? I know, I'm high on the cheese factor today. But anyway, so how, you might ask? It is through Unity's third principle. And we say it all the time. We affirm it all the time. So Unity's third principle, right, is you create your reality through your thoughts. You create what you experience through your thoughts. So often we live our lives thinking that our thoughts just come almost like they're coming from outer space. They land in our head and that's what we're stuck with. I mean, there are a lot of times we think that. I mean, just take a look at the random thoughts you've already had this morning. Right? Did you take any ownership of those thoughts? Did you say to yourself, oh, I chose that random thought? Oh, I claim that. No, but then we go ahead and we deal with that thought, right? And we have all kinds of opinions and ideas about that thought, and we entertain it, we invite it over, it sits down with us, and then we've got to work on trying to figure out how to get rid of it. That's what we do with our random thoughts. But in unity, we say, if we're serious about this, if we want to create a reality that we want to live by, then we have to take charge and know that we create it. We have the power to choose our thoughts. So in unity and in New Thought tradition, we call this the law of mind action, that what you hold in mind, what you entertain, what you fester on, what you put your emphasis on, it manifests, it creates. If you've ever been pregnant, and I'm talking to the women, of course, but if you've ever been pregnant, you know that wherever you go, you are like a magnet with your eyes for pregnant ladies, right, Jessica? Yes, she is. She's a pregnant lady. Don't you see pregnant ladies everywhere? And, okay, well, you need to get out more, okay? You need to get out more. But what happens? Oh, well, let's go more generically then. I know that when I was pregnant, all I saw were pregnant ladies and babies everywhere. I was like, that's what I saw. When I was looking to buy a car, when I was looking to figure out what I needed, all I saw were cars that looked like mine, or all I saw were cars that looked like a car that I might want to own. Whatever you put your thoughts on, that's what becomes your reality. That's what you notice. That's what you see. That's what energetically you draw to you. Now, the news about this principle is it's not positive or negative. It just is. So whatever thoughts you have, if they are affirming, loving, empowering thoughts, that's what you begin to see, and that's what you begin to draw to you energetically. And if you have thoughts that do not serve you, like if you decide that you wake up grumpy, okay? You wake up grumpy and then you sit and you dwell on how grumpy you are and how grumpy you wish you weren't. And then you start to look out and what do you see? Things that make you more grumpy, right? You just start noticing because you are creating your reality. Another person driving down that same street, seeing those same people in traffic, seeing the same people greet you, seeing the same situation. If they got out of bed and they decided this is going to be a blessed day, guess what happens? They are in love with the day. They are in love with the people they love, and they even like the people they don't. You are in charge of your reality. So I really love how this works, but I want you to know that all your thoughts and everything you experience doesn't manifest because you had a random thought or because you had a condition. So before you think that the shingles that you had this year or the car trouble you had last week was something you brought on, I want you to recognize that it's not that you brought the circumstance on. Unless, of course, you're a very bad driver. But, you didn't bring the shingles on. You perhaps did not bring the car accident on. But how you show up with that experience is how you create your reality. If you have shingles, you can still hold a vision of wholeness. And if you hold that vision, your experience of shingles is going to be vastly different than someone who is bemoaning their condition, than somebody who is emphasizing their struggle, their discomfort. If you have a car accident, rather than focusing on, oh no, another tragedy has struck my life, if you hold a vision in your heart and in your being of peace, of faith, your experience of that situation will be remarkably more peaceful. Isn't that true? So this is indeed the power of thought. This is what is so meaningful for us. And I wanted to share with you words from our co-founder, Charles Fillmore. He said this. He said, the words of your mouth and the thoughts of your heart are here now and always, and they are molding spiritual substance into full manifestation. The words of your mouth and the thoughts of your heart work together always to create. That's what spiritual substance is. It's that creative force. They're always molding to bring forward that which you hold. And so I think that that's a really powerful lesson, and it's one that Jesus, our way shower, taught us from the unity perspective with the parable of the mustard seed. So let me read this parable to you. It says, Jesus put before them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that someone took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of all the seeds, but when it is grown, it is the greatest of shrubs and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches. You see, our thoughts are like mustard seeds. And so we take that tiny, tiny, tiny seed, that tiny thought that we nurture, that we support, that we create into a space so it can grow. And it becomes the greatest of shrubs. It bypasses the herbs. It bypasses a flower. It becomes a mighty shrub, so large that birds come and find shelter in it. That's the power of your thought, whatever it is, when you nurture it. So I think that when you play with this, you have to ask yourself the question, what is the reality? What is the beautiful vision that I'm holding with my thoughts? What is it that I create in my mind? What is it that I create from my heart so that I might live more fully? Is it that I want more love in my life? Do I want greater health? Do I want greater peace of mind? Do I want a new job, a different job? What is it that I want to create in my life from that mustard seed? Because I know that if I nurture it, if I give it attention, if I support it, it cannot help but flourish. It is the power and the energy of spiritual law that whatever we put our focus on will indeed grow. So take a moment and think about what that is for you and affirm with me, if you have what that is, affirm with me the words of my mouth, the thought of my heart are aligned and now support my highest good. Now that you've made this wonderful pledge, you have 100 people holding you in that light. You have 100 people seeing you. Align the words and the thoughts so that they come together to bring forward your dream. So you can always ask yourself the question, are my thoughts in alignment with what I hold as my highest, most beautiful vision? Are the words that I say from deep inside, are they true to my highest and greatest vision? And it's a beautiful question to ask because it's the art of noticing. It's not judging, it's noticing. So when I find that I fall out of sync, I can redirect my thoughts and my words again and again and again, so that they become one with what I experience. And so what I start to see in the world is that what I have created in my mind is now becoming manifest. If I hold a vision of peace in my mind, with the situation, with the person, with whatever that is, and when I allow myself to entertain those thoughts intentionally, I purposely bring forward thoughts of peace. I purposely allow my heart to be filled with peace. And what happens is I start to be that peace, and I start to draw that peace to me as a reflection. And when I am a channel and an opening for that good, even good beyond my vision is possible. So you might say, well, I really love how this principle works. I really love how our thoughts create our reality and we can really have whatever we want. But what happens in those times? When I have affirmed my good, when I have trained my thoughts, when I have made my vision board, when I have done all those things, I have prayed and prayed and prayed. And that thing that I hold in my heart does not come forward, then what? Do I give up the vision? Do I become doubtful, resentful? Do I turn that energy on myself? Or do I look deeper to see how that reality may be there for me, but maybe not from my human eyes, and maybe not from my human understanding, but maybe in a deeper, purer way? I want to tell you about my friend Priscilla that you see on the screen. She was my very dear friend. She was one of my best friends. And it was about 12 years ago 13 years ago that picture was taken. She was a minister in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And Priscilla had a recurrence of breast cancer. It was just before this picture. And during that time, she did everything that she could to bring about her health, because her beautiful vision and what she knew is that health and healing was possible. And so she held that vision in a mighty way. We would pray a lot, those of us that were close to her. But as time went on, no matter what she did, she became sicker and sicker and sicker. And it became very clear after about 8 months into this process that she wasn't getting well, and if she was, it wasn't going to be easy. And so she stepped away from the church about that time. And it got really hard for her. But we held a vision of healing. And I remember having an awareness one day that her healing was happening right then and there. That it wasn't clear that her healing was going to happen in her body as we had all wanted. But it was really clear to me that her healing was happening right now. You see, Priscilla was a very energetic, go out and do everything, and she was sort of like the mother, the patriarch of our church. And so there were a lot of people that relied on Priscilla for comfort. She was very much a mother hen kind of energy. And as she got sicker and sicker, there was less and less of that she could participate in with others. In fact, it got so that she could not minister to others, and that way she was too ill. But what was happening is that those that loved her, those that cared for her, were pouring out their love in her direction. And she could do nothing but receive it. That was really hard for someone who's a doer and a giver, but someone who's not comfortable simply receiving love when it seems as though it's just given and it's not an exchange. But she was inundated with the power of love that kept pouring her way. And for a young woman who in her early years struggled with self-esteem, and for someone who took on the belief that the only way you could prove your worth was by earning it, by overdoing and overdoing, this was a huge healing for her soul. All she could do was receive it. And I knew of some of the personal issues in her life that caused her some pain. And healing came in those ways. Love was offered. Love lifted her up. And even though her body did not experience a physical healing, my friend Priscilla healed. And she left this planet filled with love and self-worth for being who she was, not because of what she did, but because of who she was, a beloved child of God. You see, whatever we hold in our heart has many levels. So we have a desire, and it may look like an outer expression. It may be an outer manifestation. And we may achieve that, and all that we do and all that we feel can go in that direction. And of course, we ought to do that. But oftentimes, with the things that we desire, there is an inner process, a spiritual process, where what we desire comes to us. But it comes in a deeper way. And when we have the ears and the eyes to see spiritually, we will recognize that what we desire is here already. And through our thoughts and through our actions, we call it forward even more fully, so that indeed we can live a full and fulfilling life. So I ask you, what are you creating with your thoughts? What are you opening up to at this time? What is the beautiful, remarkable vision that you hold in your heart? And how do you nurture it so that you might live the life that is meant for you? It's up to you. These thoughts that you have, they're your choice. That's the good news. That's the liberating news. So allow the thoughts that live in your mind and allow your heart to be filled with the energy of faith, with vision, with belief, to move you forward so that you might see that that which you desire is truly yours. It's here for the taking. You create your reality with your thoughts. And what a beautiful life